The NBA and Los Angeles Clippers, who are now 5-16 and a complete disaster. They announced this morning that Chris Paul is no longer a part of their team.
Fuck CP, ain't no name on it, nigga. Get the ball play and get the action. Let's go, why you got it? Game time.
3 in the morning in Atlanta, and the city has gone completely silent. Most people are deep asleep at that hour, but Chris Paul is wide awake in his hotel room, processing the worst news he has received in his entire basketball career.
Here it is. Here's Ramona Shelburne. She posted it onto X. Just found out I'm being sent home. Peace. Chris Paul posted that onto Instagram.
21 years in the NBA, 12 All-Star selections, and more assists than anyone except John Stockton had come to this moment. The greatest era in Clippers history, the legacy he built during Lob City. None of it mattered now. Chris Paul had just been told his time with the franchise was finished, and the way he found out would shock the entire basketball world. A 3-hour conversation in a hotel room during a road trip delivered the news. Not a respectful meeting back in Los Angeles, not a phone call from ownership. James Harden and Kawhi Leonard were about to reveal something that changes everything we thought we understood about this situation. A brutal 5-game losing streak had dropped the Clippers to 5-11, and they had lost 14 of their last 16 games when the tension inside the organization finally reached its breaking point. Lawrence Frank, the team's president of basketball operations, flew to Atlanta specifically for this conversation, and what nobody expected was how it would end. 3 hours of emotional back and forth later, Paul pulled out his phone, opened Instagram, and posted 5 words that would blow up the internet. Just found out I'm being sent home, followed by a peace sign emoji. One of the greatest point guards in NBA history, a future first-ballot Hall of Famer, the man who led the Clippers during their most successful era, and he announced his departure through an Instagram story posted at 3 a.m.
The NBA and Los Angeles Clippers, who are now 5-16 and a complete disaster. They announced this morning that Chris Paul is no longer a part of their team. The Clippers sent Paul back to LA from Atlanta on a one-way ticket.
Don't have a side, I don't like it, it just didn't work out like we thought it would, and like I said, I don't like it for CP, but it just wasn't a good fit, we understood that, and so like I said, it was an organization, they made the choice, and so moving forward, we got to see what we do, we'll see.
His brother's reaction captured what everyone was feeling when he posted 2 words online: "These people are crazy." And that's when this story took a turn nobody anticipated. Reporters caught up with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard the following day after the Clippers beat the Hawks, and everyone wanted to know if the stars had any advance warning. Harden appeared genuinely confused when he admitted he woke up and saw the news on social media just like everyone else, telling reporters he was just as confused and shocked as they were.
Where is Lawrence Frank's office? Where is his office at? Do you know?
Well, they got a brand new.
So it's not in the locker room. It's not in the locker room, basically.
It's not.
Okay, so he shouldn't be in nothing that got to do with locker room conversation. This is our sanctuary. This is our sanctuary. This is the coaches. This is the guys that come to practice every day.
The world had definitely surprised him. But here's the thing about what Harden said next, because the words should have raised red flags for anyone paying attention, not just Chris. Harden admitted, "It's a lot that we were dealing with." That single sentence tells you this situation runs way deeper than one veteran getting sent home. Kawhi Leonard echoed similar feelings, mentioning he had been having productive conversations with Paul about ways to improve the team, conversations that made the sudden departure feel like it came out of nowhere. But according to multiple sources with direct knowledge of the situation, the shock Harden and Leonard expressed publicly wasn't the whole truth. Both stars reportedly knew the move was coming, and they signed off on it. Leonard and Harden had grown sick and tired of Paul's constant criticism of players, coaches, and front office staff, and his demanding leadership style that worked wonders with younger teams rubbed these established veterans the wrong way. Harden and Paul have history that goes back years. Houston brought them together from 2017 to 2019, and they led that team to a franchise-best 65-17 record while coming within 1 game of making the finals. But behind the scenes, they butted heads constantly, and when Paul was eventually traded to Oklahoma City, multiple reports confirmed Harden requested it because he no longer wanted to play with CP3. The Clippers approached Harden in the offseason about bringing Paul aboard for his farewell tour, and he already knew what was coming because he had lived through it before. November 29th brought a home game against the Dallas Mavericks, and that's when everything began to unravel. Kawhi Leonard was on a minutes restriction, managing his workload like he's done for years, and late in the fourth quarter, he checked back into the game after sitting for a while. Klay Thompson started cooking him because Leonard's legs weren't under him yet, and during a timeout, Chris Paul did what he's always done throughout his 21-year career. Paul walked over to Kawhi and asked a simple question about whether he felt fresh enough to stick with Thompson. He turned to his teammates and suggested they might want to switch the defensive assignment, letting Kawhi get loose before putting him back on Thompson. The team switched the matchup and still lost 114-110. What nobody expected was what happened the next day on the team plane.
Kawhi Leonard is on a minute restriction, and sources told me that when he was guarding Klay Thompson, he was struggling when he got into the game after sitting down for a while. He was struggling keeping up with Klay Thompson. And so there was a timeout call late in that fourth quarter. And during the fourth quarter, and during that timeout, Chris Paul went to Kawhi Leonard and said, "Hey, man, are you fresh enough? Do you feel good? You feel like you can stick with Klay Thompson?" And he asked the teammates, he said, "Hey, y'all might want to switch this. Wait till he gets warm until he goes and guards Klay."
Jeff Van Gundy, the Clippers assistant coach, called a meeting with Chris Paul and wanted to know if Paul had changed the defensive assignment during that fourth quarter. Paul explained he didn't change anything and simply suggested an adjustment to help the team win. Van Gundy's response cut deep, according to NBA insider Chris Haynes. Van Gundy looked Paul in the eyes and told him something no 12-time All-Star should ever have to hear. And so I was told that Jeff Van Gundy told Chris Paul, "Listen, you might have had leeway in other places to be able to, to change up defensive coverages, but you don't have that leeway here." And that was just one of the minor verbal incidents between Jeff and Gundy and Chris Paul. That was one of a few. The message was clear. Paul might have had leeway in other places to change up defensive coverages, but he didn't have that leeway here. A 40-year-old future Hall of Famer who has forgotten more about basketball than most people will ever know, and he's being told his voice doesn't matter. His 2 decades of experience mean nothing. That confrontation wasn't even the only one, because Haynes reported this was just one of several verbal incidents between Van Gundy and Paul during his brief time with the Clippers.
Just speaking on this specific incident that Chris is talking about, I've had those conversations with guys as we're leaving the huddle. Hey, let's try to look at this. Let's try to look at that. That's based on the trust that I've built with those guys, and that's based on the trust that I've built with the coaching staff. I am one of those guys that I will refuse to let one guy take down 15.
Paul's response came through Instagram when he posted a screenshot showing the dictionary definition of one word, leeway. No caption, no explanation, just the definition sitting there for the world to see. And now we understand exactly what that cryptic post meant. The relationship between Chris Paul and head coach Ty Lue had completely broken down by this point, with multiple reports indicating they hadn't spoken in weeks leading up to the release. Paul reportedly requested a meeting with Lue to address allegations that he was being perceived as a negative presence on the team, and Lue refused to meet with him. Lue denied these reports when asked directly about the silent treatment allegations. "That ain't true," he pushed back. "How's he gonna play if I'm not talking to him?" He pointed out there was a stretch when Paul wasn't going to play, when he was out of the rotation, and that was tough for a competitor like CP3 to accept. But Blake Griffin, Paul's former Lob City teammate, revealed he had a conversation with CP3 about the situation, and Paul told him directly he had zero communication with Lue. The Athletic reported Lue and the entire coaching staff were at wit's end with Paul because his constant critiques of practices, his comments about rotations, and his demands for accountability from everyone added up until the organization decided keeping Paul around wasn't worth the aggravation anymore. Kendrick Perkins offered his perspective on the dysfunction, asking the question that needed asking. For Ty Lue to reach the point where he wasn't speaking to someone, something serious had to have occurred. Perkins claimed Paul was doing stuff behind Lue's back, going to players, whispering, causing turmoil when the team was already struggling. And that's when Louis admitted something that should terrify every Clippers fan. He said he didn't want to see Chris Paul go out like this, called Paul a friend, said the fit simply wasn't right, and then confessed cutting Paul won't help the team at all.
And so when you think about, and we hear these stories about, Ty Lue wasn't speaking to him, or he wouldn't take a meeting with him, or they wasn't on speaking terms for 3 weeks, it gets you to thinking. what the hell was CP3 doing? You get sent home at 3 o'clock in the morning? What the hell were you doing in that locker room? Because it wasn't just because of that event, that situation that happened. It was stuff that kept building up throughout the course of the season. He was doing stuff behind Ty Lue's back, going to players, whispering, saying things and causing turmoil when the team is already struggling and going through a lot.
I don't think it'll necessarily help our team, Lue said. I don't think the reason why we're 5-16 is because of CP's play. The head coach admitting this move won't fix anything tells you the problems run way deeper than one vocal veteran on the bench. Really layered situation, clearly. So what's next for CP3? Well, I reached out to Chris Paul. He hasn't spoke yet, but I did reach out to him and asked him that very question, and he sent me a response back. And in his text message response, he said, "I'm just staying ready. I'm hooping right now. I don't know what's next." It's kind of wild, kind of crazy. Still kind of speechless. I'll probably have a lot of words later with my family. We sort of just taking it the whole experience here and right now. This is one of those things I kind of manifested for a long time, sort of tried to speak it into existence, but you just never know if it's really going to happen, because I love to hoop. I love to play this game, but I love my family more than any of it. The Los Angeles Clippers have become an organizational disaster, and the Chris Paul situation is just the latest symptom of a disease spreading for years. Back in 2019, the Clippers traded Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, 5 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps, all for Paul George because they wanted to pair him with Kawhi Leonard and build a championship dynasty. That dynasty never materialized. Multiple playoff disappointments piled up, injuries to Leonard derailed seasons, and chemistry issues plagued the roster until Paul George walked out the door to Philadelphia for 0 compensation. Then they traded more assets for James Harden, extended Leonard to massive contracts despite his persistent injury issues, and signed an aging Chris Paul, hoping to squeeze one more magical run out of a veteran roster. The result was a 6-8 record, the oldest team in the league, a franchise player who misses half the games due to load management and an inability to tank properly because all their future picks belong to Oklahoma City from that Paul George disaster. Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back on First Take when he called the Clippers hot garbage and the organization a complete mess.
This is Chris Paul. This is CP3. And Lawrence Frank is already on the record talking about we're not blaming him. You lost 5 straight. You lost 5 straight. You see that tweet right there that Chris Paul just put out in the middle of the night. Just found out I'm being sent home. This is Chris Paul, the former president of the Players Association. 21st season, 12-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA selection, member of the 75th anniversary team, former Rookie of the Year, 6-time Steve.
His question echoed what everyone was thinking. How the hell do you do this to Chris Paul? This is a future Hall of Famer who came there for the last year of his career. I don't give a damn what's going on with the team. They're trash right now. We understand that. To send him home on a road trip? To disrespect him like that? Smith called out Lawrence Frank specifically, questioning how Frank rose from assistant coach under Doc Rivers to running the entire basketball operation while Doc was the one who got pushed out. He issued a warning to every player in the league that anyone thinking about signing with the Clippers should be hesitant after seeing how they treated a legend.
I think to send him home is so damn disrespectful that I'm still looking at the organization, which is the Clippers, which, by the way, deserves to be vilified. First of all, you Lawrence Frank, he was brought there as an assistant coach under Doc Rivers. How is it that you go from an assistant coach to Doc Rivers, who, by the way, was running basketball operations and was the head coach of the Clippers, to all of a sudden being put over Doc Rivers as the head of basketball operations? And ultimately, Doc Rivers is gone. You talk about something I don't know about. At the very least, we could say that smells. At the very least.
The franchise curse narrative has resurfaced stronger than ever. From the Donald Sterling scandal to Lob City's playoff collapses to this current meltdown. One writer captured it perfectly by saying the Clippers aren't just cursed by bad luck. They nurture the curse through their own actions, like dumping a Hall of Famer because he wanted to win too much. After 21 freaking years, you don't do that to him. This is Chris Paul. This is CP3. Through all this chaos, Chris Paul has handled himself with incredible grace. His interview with People magazine contained 5 words that tell you everything about the man. I'm at peace with everything. No regrets about joining the Clippers, no regrets about trying to make it work, and the parting actually allowed him to prioritize family time and attend his son's game. NBA insider Chris Haynes reached out to ask what comes next, and Paul's response showed he's not ready to give up. "I'm just staying ready. I'm hooping right now. I don't know what's next." Another message revealed something more vulnerable when Paul admitted he's still scarred by it all, still processing everything, but staying ready. 21 years of weathering every storm imaginable has built that kind of maturity. Paul has been traded multiple times, criticized relentlessly, and faced adversity at every turn while maintaining his professionalism and dignity throughout. But this was supposed to be different. When Paul signed with the Clippers in July, the emotions were overwhelming as he spoke about manifesting this moment for years, trying to speak it into existence, wanting to finish his career where it really took off, the city where his family had put down roots, the franchise where he became a legend. "It's kind of wild, kind of crazy," Paul said in his signing announcement, still kind of speechless. "I love this game, but I love my family more than any of it." A victory lap turned into one of the most embarrassing departures in recent NBA history. December 15th made Chris Paul trade eligible, opening up a window of possibilities, though the situation remains complicated. The Los Angeles Lakers make sense on paper because Paul and LeBron James are close friends, but salary cap restrictions prevent the Lakers from signing a 15th player until January 19th. Oklahoma City could work from a sentimental standpoint, since Paul spent one transformative season there in 2019-20, mentoring a young Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a mentorship that helped shape SGA into the superstar he is today. But the Thunder just won a championship. Their roster is full, and they don't need veteran leadership anymore. The Knicks have been mentioned because Leon Rose, their president of basketball operations, represented Paul for years when he was an agent. The Timberwolves and Rockets have also surfaced as potential destinations. What matters most is Paul doesn't just want to fill a roster spot somewhere, because he wants to be a meaningful contributor who finishes his career actually playing basketball, not collecting a paycheck. His track record as a mentor speaks for itself. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander became an MVP candidate after learning from Paul. Devin Booker reached the finals in his first playoff appearance with Paul beside him, and Stephon Castle won Rookie of the Year under Paul's guidance in San Antonio. Multiple reports confirm Paul has zero interest in retiring immediately because he wants to finish what he started and take one more run at that championship that's eluded him for 2 decades. The ripple effects from this decision will be felt for years throughout the league. Draymond Green issued a stark warning to every player when he said, "What happened to Chris Paul shows even icons are disposable, and players should think twice before signing with organizations that treat legends this way." Carmelo Anthony blasted the Clippers' handling of the situation as flat-out disrespectful, and he was right. You don't send a future Hall of Famer home in the middle of the night during a road trip. You don't let him find out his fate through a 3-hour hotel room conversation in Atlanta. You bring him back to Los Angeles, sit down with him and his family, work out a departure with dignity, and let him walk away on his own terms. The Los Angeles Clippers now have to live with the consequences because their reputation is damaged, their fan base is alienated, and they've sent a message to every free agent in the league about how this organization treats its legends. James Harden and Kawhi Leonard remain stuck in the middle of this mess, having to win games while dealing with external noise and internal dysfunction. The chemistry inside that locker room is fractured beyond repair, regardless of whether their shock was genuine or performative. The Clippers won their first game after releasing Paul, beating the Hawks on the same night, but they remain one of the worst teams in basketball. Sending home a franchise icon hasn't fixed a single one of their actual problems. Chris Paul deserved better after everything he gave to that franchise, after all the memories and playoff battles and years building Lob City into something special. A farewell tour is what he earned, a celebration of his career, a chance to walk off the court one final time with his head held high. A 3 a.m. conversation in a hotel room and an Instagram post announcing his own departure is what he received instead. The Chris Paul chapter of the Los Angeles Clippers story has ended, but this isn't the end for CP3. Somewhere out there, a team is about to get one of the greatest point guards to ever play this game, a winner and leader who still has something left to prove. When Chris Paul finds his next home, the Clippers will regret every single decision they made, because legends don't fade away quietly. They remind you exactly why they became legends.